Good evening and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to our webinar on data mesh versus data fabric, the future of data architecture. We are delighted to have all of you with us today. I'm Rujuta, your moderator for today's session. Today, we are diving into one of the most important conversations shaping modern enterprises, how organizations can effectively manage, govern, and scale their data in an increasingly complex digital landscape. As businesses continue to generate massive volumes of data across multiple systems, traditional data architectures often struggle with data silos and fragmented information, lack of consistent governance and data ownership, challenges in scaling data platforms across domains, delaying in delivering trusted data for analytics and AI initiatives. So, this is where data mesh and data fabric are emerging as powerful architectural approaches. While data mesh promotes domain oriented ownership and decentralized data management, data fabric focuses on creating an intelligent, connected data ecosystem through automation and integration. In the next few minutes, we will explore the key principles behind both approaches, compare their strengths and use cases, and discuss how organizations can choose the right strategy to enable scalability, governance, and data driven innovation. At the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A session. So please keep your questions ready and feel free to type them in the chat box. We will take them one by one. With that, let's begin our session. Can we move to the next slide, please? Our parent company, the Alton Group, is headquartered in France and has over 50,000 plus employees deployed globally. We have served more than 6,500 clients worldwide and continue to expand our global presence across 30 plus countries. The group reported a turnover of approximately $4 billion in the last fiscal year. ACL Digital is a 100% wholly owned subsidiary of Alton Group. With over 3 decades of industry presence, we have built strong expertise across multiple industry verticals. We have successfully supported Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 organizations across digital commerce, health tech, and med tech, retail tech, life sciences, telco and NEM, and edtech. Our customers include leading industry ISVs who further serve the provider ecosystem. Can we move to the next slide, please? So we are honored to be joined by two distinguished speakers today, Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan ji, Mr. Ram Kumar K. Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan is the head of data, AI, and Gen AI at ACL Digital. He is a strategic AI transformation leader with a proven track record of delivering over $20 million in digital value. He has led Gen AI driven automation generating $22 million in savings with a 40% turnaround improvement and is also a TEDx speaker and advisor to prestigious institutes like ISRO and IIMs. Mr. Ram Kumar is an experienced data and analytics professional with expertise across AWS, GCP, and Microsoft Azure. He specializes in designing and delivering end to end data solutions, including data engineering, governance, and analytics. With a result driven approach, he builds scalable data platforms that help organizations solve complex challenges and accelerate digital transformation. With that, I would now like to invite Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan to lead us into today's session. So, yeah, over to you, Lakshmi.
Thank you very much, Rajata. So, good evening and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Over the last 2 years, we have been witnessing an explosion of interest in AI, Gen AI, co-pilots, and now the latest buzzword is agentic AI. Every boardroom conversation that we are having today lands on one question. How do we scale AI across the enterprise? But after working with organizations across manufacturing, healthcare, telecom, retail, we have learned something interesting. The biggest challenge is no longer AI. The biggest challenge is the data infrastructure, the data architecture that is underneath AI. Today, as Rujuta rightly pointed out while setting the context, the discussion is all about a shift that is quietly happening across enterprises worldwide. A shift away from the traditional centralized data architectures towards modern architectures such as data mesh and data fabric. More importantly, we will discuss, Ram and me are here to discuss why this isn't really a data mesh versus data lake debate. It's all about building an AI ready enterprise and how data can play a role. So I'd like to start my presentation with the simple scenario that we all face. I still remember 15 years back after my MBA when I joined the consulting company. My first consulting engagement was with one of the ITS companies. And we had a very simple question to ask. What is the headcount in the organization? And unfortunately, every leader was there in that particular workshop gave a different answer. Even though the question is very simple, what is the headcount? The answer given by each one of them was very different. That's the same scenario here. Every Monday morning, when we're having a review, when the CEO is asking this question, what was last quarter's customer churn? Every one of the leaders there gives a different number. So the discussion is no longer about customer churn or customer retention here. The discussion becomes like which number is correct. I'm sure you're also facing this problem in your organization. Many a times, the reports that we get, we tend to call the people and check whether the number is right, even though it comes from Power BI, Tableau, any of the standard reporting tools. Still, we do not trust the data that is coming from the reports. This is a reality. Data everywhere, but trust nowhere. Now, just imagine if you're placing an AI system on top of this environment where you're not able to trust the data. If we humans cannot agree on the truth, why would we expect AI to? This is the enterprise data challenge that we are talking about. So, I'd like to start with a small poll. How confident are you that your current data architecture is truly AI ready? We'll launch a poll. I think, Rujita, the poll is not showing the options correctly. Can you check once?
Is it correct?
It's showing single option. Request you to kindly check that. Yes.
I think on my screen I can see four
Okay,
options.
no worries. Yes. If people are able to see it, it's good. You are able to select the option. I'll tell you what the market thinks. It is pretty much in alignment with what you have polled. 8% feel very confident, 24% feel somewhat confident, 45% they do not even feel confident about that, and 23% definitely not at all confident. And AI initiatives are stalled because of this. So, what's interesting in most organizations globally is they fall into this middle category. They have heavily invested in cloud, analytics, data platforms, but still they struggle with trust, governance, discoverability, and ownership. So that's the biggest challenge that we are facing today. In fact, what do you think is the biggest obstacle to AI? The biggest obstacle to AI is not AI, it is the architecture, it is the data. Organizations often believe AI projects fail because of the models. We have chosen the wrong model, or we did not build the RAG pipeline correctly, or the LLM that we have chosen is hallucinating. That's the most popular answer that we have been getting from different customers. But this is wrong. Models are becoming commodities in the market. The real challenge is the foundation, the data quality, the data ownership, the data governance, the data discoverability, metadata, lineage. Think about it. If an AI agent cannot find trusted data, it cannot reason. If it cannot trust the data, it cannot decide. If it cannot understand the lineage of the data, it cannot explain. And explainability is an important aspect for you to build the trust in the AI system. So AI doesn't eliminate the data problems, it actually magnifies them. That's why the biggest obstacle to AI is not AI, it is the enterprise data architecture. And this is a very popular slide. You would have seen this earlier. This is an important distinction. Most of the organizations are actually focusing on AI strategy, but very few organizations are actually focusing on AI readiness. So, AI readiness is fundamentally a data problem. And organizations attempting to scale AI without modernizing the data architecture are essentially building skyscrapers on unstable foundations. Eventually, the cracks will appear. Poor recommendations, hallucinations, compliance issues, lack of trust. These are some of the issues that will start spiraling up. This is exactly why data architecture has suddenly become a boardroom topic in many organizations. Okay, I have one more poll for you to understand your thought process. So, what is the biggest challenge slowing AI adoption in your organization? I know it's an easy question. Is it data quality? Is it data silos? Governance? Skills? Let me wait for your answer. Let me understand where you stand with respect to this question. I think we can close the poll, Ruchita, and share the results. Yep. Yep. 14% for data quality, 30% on the data silos, 21% on governance and compliance, and 29% on lack of skills and resources. Very well. I suspect we are all discovering that the answer is not the technology, it is the organizational complexity and the way we look at data. Now, let us talk about why the current architectures are failing. Look at the way the things have evolved in the recent past. An average enterprise today has so many systems out there: SAP, Salesforce, ServiceNow, IoT devices, cloud applications. You have partner ecosystems contributing data. You have streaming platforms. You have data lakes, data warehouses. Last 15 years, we have invested heavily into that. The architecture was never designed for this level of complexity, isn't it? What worked 10 years ago doesn't scale today. The challenge is not about storing data here. The storage is actually cheap. It has become much cheaper compared to what it was earlier. The challenge is managing ownership, trust, governance, and right access to the right people at the enterprise scale. That's where we have a dilemma coming in, the enterprise data dilemma. This is the moment where organizations realize that adding another data platform is not actually solving the problem. That used to be the case earlier, isn't it? If you have a problem, build a solution, build a tech solution. But that's not the case today. The architecture itself must evolve. And this realization has led to two major architectural movements. That's where we have data mesh and data fabric coming together. I'm sure you all have heard of data mesh. I'm just quickly touching upon it because it's a modern day architecture. All of us should be aware of it. What kind of problems it solves, what kind of benefits it brings in. So, data mesh always begins with a very, very provocative question. Why should a central team own all the enterprise data? The people who understand customer data are the customer teams. The people who understand supply chain data best are the supply chain teams. So, when people are experts in the data, why are they not managing it? This is where the data mesh architect will clearly say that the move ownership close to the business. Treat data as a product. You create accountability. You enable self-service. You federate the governance, the entire data governance. And in simple terms, all we want is the data mesh should ideally create responsibility. And in fact, it scales responsibility within the organization. So when you bring data mesh, there are a lot of advantages that we are looking at here. So before data mesh and after data mesh, you can see a big difference with respect to the governance principles. So this slide, as you can see, it's not just about technology. We are talking more about operating model transformation. We are seeing a big shift. When we move to data mesh, we are talking about moving accountability to the new world. Before data mesh, everybody consumes data. Nobody owns data quality. But now after data mesh, each domain becomes responsible for the product, for the data products that they create. The transformation is cultural as much as technical. So here I would like to bring my solution architect, data architect, Ram, to share his perspectives because he has developed a solution for one of the customers. So over to you, Ram, to share your perspective on this.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Lakshmi. Um, just a list understanding for a data mesh through that in the real world for the retail examples. So imagine you are the CEO of that global retail company operating for hundreds of stores, multiple e-commerce platforms, and warehouse and a supply chains partner worldwide. So every day the company is generating the massive amount of the data from their customer purchase, inventory movement, online transaction, and the supply operation and the CRM systems. As a business is growing, a common problem is being that we image. All the data is requested or the routed into the central data teams. The sales teams needed a revenue dashboard. The inventory team is a need to the stock forecastings. The customer is experienced teams wants to the customer insight. So everyone on depends on the same central teams. As a result, report delivery the becomes slow, business team is loss agility, and the data quality issue so become that difficult to manage. Here that this is the challenges for the data meshes are designed to solve that. So from the data source point of view, like we can take it that BOI systems, e-commerce platforms, inventory systems, and CRM application, and supply chain systems, and external marketings. The system is continuously generating the business data, the critical information that you need to be the transforming the meaningful insight. So data meshes are built on four foundation principles. One is a domain-oriented ownership, and the data as a product, federation governance, and self-service data platforms. So coming to for the data domain-oriented ownerships. So instead of sending that all the data into the central team, data mesh is organizing the data around the business domain. In this example, for example, like a customer domain, sales domain, and inventory domain, and a supply chain domain. So we can create for each domain, we can create the data. So each domain is a own that business teams that is understand that data best. For example, the sales team is owns the sales data. when that inventory teams owns that inventory data. This is creating that accountability and faster decision makings. The second is data as a product. Just a company is creating the product for the customer. For each domain is a create data product for the internal consumers. For example, the customer domain is publishing the customer profile, customer segmentation, and the customer 360 views. The sales domain publishing the revenue analytics and sales performance metrics. The inventory domain is publishing inventory level and forecasting information. So the data is a product is a trusted and documented, reusable, and easy to discover. So now that one common question: if every domain is own the data, how we can maintaining the consistency across that enterprise? The answer is federation governance. Federated governance is providing for the enterprise-wide standard for the security and compliance of the metadata and interoperability and data quality. So domain is having autonomy, but that operated within the common governance framework. So this is to create the balance between that innovation and the control. And finally, that self-service domain platforms. So self-service domain platform, the platform is a common capability for all the domain is included. So for example, like the cloud storage, data catalog, data processing, security control, and API management and monitoring. So this platform team is built these capabilities once on every domain can use them. So this is avoid the duplication and accelerate delivery. So finally, the business outcomes. So you can access a faster access to trusted data, reducing the reporting delay, and improving the data quality, better customer insight, increasing that accountability, and greater business agility. So
Thank
now
you, Ram.
yeah,
Sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead. Please complete.
No, it's okay. That's it.
Good. Thank you, Ram, for presenting this case study. Now, in line with what Ram explained, a small question for you. Who owns data quality in your organization today? I think in this entire webinar, this is one of the most revealing questions that we can have. And in any data transformation exercise, this is something which is important. Let me understand from you who owns data quality in your organization today. Rajita, can you launch the poll, please? Sure, we can close the poll, I guess, Rajita. Thank you. So we have got 38% central data team, 25% on business functions, 25% shared responsibility, 13% nobody clearly wants it. That's a problem, isn't it? That's the tricky part. If nobody clearly owns data quality, the quality inevitably declines. If the quality is poor, then obviously the structures that you build on top of it is not going to give you the best results. Nice. Thank you. So from there, we will move on to data fabric, a very interesting architectural framework that evolved in the last 5, 6 years. Data mesh solves the ownership problem on one side, as Ramkumar explained with the case study. Data fabric solves the connectivity and the intelligence problem. Imagine if your enterprise data had its own nervous system, a layer that knows where data lives, how it moves, who uses it, what it means, whether it can be trusted or not. That's exactly what we try to build in the name of data fabric for any of our customers. When we build data fabric for our customers, We create a unified intelligence layer across fragmented environments. So it's not easy, but if you build it, it's going to be an amazing infrastructure for you to build an AI layer on top of it. Look at the layered approach that we are seeing here. On top of the storage infrastructure like cloud data warehouse, you have the integration of the orchestration layer, then a data fabric intelligence layer, and then you have the AI analytics or application layer. By bringing in data fabric, you are creating that unified intelligence layer, and it precisely knows where the data lives, its lineage, and how it can be used in the real time. That's the power of data fabric in the modern day architecture. Again, I would request Ram to just quickly talk about his experience on how we solved a particular data architecture problem for a global healthcare customer. Over to you, Ram.
Thanks, Rashmi. So now that let me talk to you that for a very different environment now. So when we are getting that data is wrong, it's not just a business problem. It can be that patient safety problem. A global healthcare is providing that patient data spread to the across that like electronical medical record systems, laboratory information systems, and a scanning report, billing information, and research platforms. So they have that five different systems. None of them built to talk to that for each other natively. The physicians is trying to making that critical care decisions needs to take that full pictures, the patient lab result from the test study, the scan report, the last week, the medical history, the allergy, the billing status, and that might be that affected the treatment options. Instead of they are going to that for into the five separate systems and mentally is assembled in picture themselves. The cost of the fragmentations were just not insufficient inefficiency. It was delay for the care the decisions. It was missing the data and the compliance risk because the patient is a move that between the systems. So every move is at a HIPA. It means for health insurance probability and accountability act exposure point. So the solution is a data fabric, a fundamentally different approach from the data mesh, where the data mesh is a decentralized ownership to domains. Data fabric is creating that unified access layer that sit off the top of the existing system without requiring you to move that or replicating the data. Think it is a semantic layer to connect to everything. So what we build it, virtualization data access. Rather than extracting the centralized data from that all five systems, we creating the virtualized access layer. The clinical or analytical queries, the fabric, the fabric reach to the relevant source systems and return that unified views. Here is a no duplicate data, no migration risk. So the second point is migration enterprise meta catalogs. We deployed that comprehensive catalogs that made it to the data discoverable, traceable, and semantically is a consistency. Where the physical is a query the patient history, they can get that consistent definition across all systems, not five different system definition and not five different system teams. So HIPAA, Health Insurance Probability Accountability Act, so complaint security framework. Here, find their grant control access for auditing, automated, and data sharing policies, enforcing their compliance and the platforms. So finally, the HL5 and FHR integration standard. These are all healthcare industry interoperability standards that's allowed is a clinical system to share the data into that standardized structure way. So we build that fabric, one of the standardized, so integrated layer. So it would be their future proof. And finally, unified patient views. So yeah, 360-degree patient profile that is aggregated with all the data into the real time, enabling the clinical to the faster and better information this decision without switching between systems. Thanks, Rashmi.
Thank you, Ram. So I would like to add a few more lines to this particular use case because it's a very interesting work that we had done for the customer. This healthcare organization, as Ramkumar rightly pointed out, had patient information spread across multiple systems: EMR, labs, imaging, billing, research, everywhere. So again, the challenge was not ownership. The challenge was integration here. So when doctors needed a complete view, they did not get that complete patient view, they did not get that access. So data fabric architecture, when we implemented it, it enabled virtual access without physically moving data anywhere. This is exactly where data fabric becomes extremely powerful for our customers. Now moving on. So till now we discussed about data mesh and data fabric independently. We understood where it helps, how it works, how we have done it for our customers. By the way, which one is better? Data mesh or data fabric? What do you think? The answer is neither, I would say, from our experience. And it's not the right question to ask. Data mesh or data fabric, which one is better? Each one has its own benefits. Data mesh addresses the ownership problem. Data fabric addresses the integration problem. These are two different problems for the enterprise. Comparing them directly is like comparing a company's operating model with a technology problem, kind of. They both are complementary. That's an important takeaway that we want to share from our experience. That's where I would like to talk a bit about how they are complementing each other. So look at this. When you talk about data mesh, the primary paradigm is organizational and socio-technical. And on the data fabric side, it's technical and architectural. So on one side, data fabric offers the centrally governed distributed access. Data mesh gives you the distributed domain teams. Let the respective teams take the ownership. So when both of them come together, that's where the real value is. That's where you can see that the scalability comes automatically. With more and more domain teams coming into picture, data mesh offers the best scalability there. When more and more data comes into picture, data fabric offers scalability. So notice almost there is a kind of a either or kind of virtually complementing each other. That's exactly where data mesh and data fabric plays a big role. So why modern architecture matters? This is something that you need to understand. There are three forces that are driving architectural change: data silos, governance complexity, and scalability demands. These pressures are increasing because AI is actually amplifying all the three. We discussed about data silos, disconnected systems, governance complexity, struggling to maintain data quality, structure, security, lineage, scalability. When you create centralized data platforms, it becomes bottlenecks to scale it up. Now, when you talk about enterprise AI architecture, you need an intelligent data ecosystem to support that enterprise AI organization. Now, for that, you need a combination of both a data mesh, which offers data domain ownership, data fabric, which offers intelligent integration. When you bring the best of both the worlds, you're able to create a connected, governed, trusted ecosystem which can give you faster insights, better decisions, and more value. That's exactly what you're looking for when you're trying to build an AI first organization, isn't it? So, all the modern enterprises, when we have a discussion with the customer, we're seeing them rethink how the traditional architectures can be replaced with this modern architecture. They're slowly moving towards data mesh and data fabric to ensure that they're able to build a scalable, intelligent, and governed data ecosystems. So that's the beauty of the day. So the future is not data mesh or data fabric. If I have to tell you, if you have to remember only one slide from today's webinar, you need to remember this one. The future is not data mesh. The future is not data fabric. Mesh plus fabric. That is the future. Because mesh provides ownership. Fabric provides intelligence. Mesh provides accountability. Fabric provides discoverability. Mesh creates trusted data products for you because the ownership lies with the respective domain teams. Fabric ensures that they are universally available. So, together, when they come together, they create the foundation for AI. This is exactly the architecture pattern we are increasingly seeing emerge globally. Already, we have discussed this with at least 4 or 5 customers, and they have shown very keen interest in merging both and seeing the bigger benefits for their ecosystem. And bringing both of them is what is enabling an AI ready enterprise. Now, it's been some time to ensure that you're all awake and listening to us. A quick question for you. Which statement best describes your current data landscape? Centralized data platform, multiple business units managing data independently, hybrid environment across multiple clouds, or are you still figuring out where do you stand today? So, based on your response, Ram is ready to present a manufacturing case study for you to talk about how the best of both the worlds are helping a manufacturing company to run their data ecosystem. Yeah, Rajita, we can now close the poll. Thank you. So 29% mostly centralized data platform, 14% they say multiple business units managing data independently, 43% say hybrid environment across multiple clouds. Yep. In fact, we are working with one of the customers today. We are almost at the end of completing the proposal and getting into the delivery mode. The customer has the same problem. In fact, name the cloud, they are in it. That's how they are. AWS, Azure, GCP, they have data distributed across all these environments. They're facing a challenge now when it comes to managing data. Now, this is where convergence is very, very important. Now, I hand it over to Ram Kumar for a quick walkthrough of one of the interesting case studies that we have delivered for a manufacturing company. Over to you, Ram.
Thank you, Rashmi. See, now we all know that data mesh and data fabrics. So oh, we have for a different kind of domain technology we already use in that both. Now we are used in the manufacturing domains like data fabrics and as well as data mesh, both combine that. So that manufacturing, the global manufacturing, they needs the real-time visibility across that enterprise supply chains. Production in lines and the logistic network, there are three continents, and procurement team is managing for hundreds of suppliers. So warehouse is operating that across the dozens of facilities. The data is existed. It is it was following that, but in live, completely separated silos with the separate owners, separate tools, and separate definitions. Leaders had no end-to-end view. When the component storage shortage that hit it into the production in line that the procurement team is a different location, found that 3 days later. When the logistic is a delay, impact to the key customer delivery. The customer service teams was lost. The cost of that fragmentation was a direct, is an operational cost, poor forecasting accuracy, reactive there rather than the proactive decisions. The solution, there was not one architecture, it was a two working together. The data mesh layer is addressing that organization problem, like product, procurement, logistics, and supply team, each to ownership of their data products. They become that accountability publisher. They know that the data is a best. So they were that right time, right teams to own that, to maintaining it. This is eliminating the central bottleneck and accelerating data delivery from the each domains. But here, the things about that supply chain, they are that by the definition end to end. Understanding that supply chain requires connecting to the dots across that all four domains in real time. That's where that data fabric is came in. Data fabric is a set about that domain data product and providing that of enterprise integrations. So unified that global governance model, data cataloging with a lineage, API standardized, so that the domain data is a product could be that a consumes a consistency across that enterprise. And the most importantly, the real-time data flow that is a connecting to the product signal and a procurement decision to logistic scheduling to the supplier management. The result was an architecture where the decentralized and integration work together rather than against each other. Domain teams is autonomy and speeds. Leaderships have that for a unit, a real-time view that the enterprise, entire supply chains. So the result is a real-time supply chain visibility across at all the domain. For the first time, leadership could be seen to the end-to-end, faster decision making, trusted data, and the 3Ds is a lagging issue. Directions that drop dramatically, reducing the operational cost, improving the forecasting accuracy. Unifiedly, they can able to access the data. That's all.
Thank you, Ram. So that brings us to the AI ready enterprise, how it is being run. This is actually what I call the AI ready enterprise because notice how AI sits at the top. It's not at the bottom. AI is part of the consumption layer. AI consumes data, and data architecture enables an AI ready organization. So, underneath the AI, we have data products, metadata, governance, discovery, quality, lineage, everything you have. This is actually the future operating model for enterprise intelligence. So, you need to be conscious about how to create this entire AI ready enterprise with a strong data infrastructure setup. So you need federated source systems which are continuously capturing all the transactions and getting the data. And then you have a data platform which integrates all the data stores, processes, analyzes, and everything. And then you have a data product marketplace. Then you have a data fabric intelligence layer. And under this strong foundation or above this strong foundation, you have AI coming up on top. So Mesh gives you the trusted data products. Fabric makes them universally discoverable and governable. Together, we can make AI possible here. Now, we have an interesting takeaway for you from this webinar. Which architecture is right for my organization? If you have this question in your mind, we have a small maturity assessment questionnaire, which we would like to share it across in the chat with you. So just give us a second. We are sharing it with you. Rujita, I'm just sharing it with you. Request you to share it with everyone in the panel.
Sorry.
Yes. Over to you, Rujita. It's in the chat. So it's a small assessment, of course, a detailed one, 60 questions. But if you have the patience for 15-20 minutes, you can precisely assess where exactly your organization stands today with respect to data architecture. It can help you to identify what would be the right architecture for you. It will also help you to identify where you stand in each and every dimension for data architecture. I'm sure the time would be worth it if you're able to do so. Good. It's in your chat. Request you to download it. And please do let us know what exactly or where exactly you stand in the data architecture assessment maturity. And of course, it's an independent assessment. There's a file that you download and do it. It's not connected to internet, so we are not capturing data from you. So don't worry. Decentralized data assessment. If I have to use it, use the context and explain it. Now, in line with that, I'm just quickly proceeding in the interest of time. So there are three recommended paths that we have when it comes to this entire one. So you have path A, start with data fabric. You have path B, start with data mesh. And you have path C, converged data mesh and data fabric. Okay. So if you look at it, it's your choice that you can make on where exactly you want to fit in. So generally, we recommend it this way. Data fabric is ideal for low data maturity, high regulatory burden, and limited domain engineering capacity. Like typically healthcare kind of sectors, data fabric plays an important role. Why? The data fabric provides immediate value with minimal org change. So you're building the intelligence layer first. So within first 18 months, you'll be able to get the enterprise metadata coverage. Data mesh is good for you if you're cloud native, strong engineering culture, and if you have clear domain boundaries, you'll be able to take it there. So you invest in domain ownership first, and the self-serve platform enables teams to move independently. So within a span of 12 to 24 months, you'll be able to do the magic here. And data mesh and data fabric will play a big role. It's ideal for ambitious AI program for large enterprise with multiple cloud environments. I know some of you, 43% of the audience mentioned that you're in the multiple cloud environment. Then a converged data mesh and data fabric would do the trick for you. So deploy fabric as intelligence layer, launch mesh pilots in 2 to 3 high value domains simultaneously, and 24 to 36 months to full convergence, you should be able to achieve it. So this is what we call it as architecture decision matrix from our end. With that, I'd like to leave you with the takeaways here while we take the questions. Just look at these 5 thoughts that we have discussed in the last 1 hour. So moving on to the questions, I see a question in the chat in the Q&A forum. Yeah, perfect. Ram has already addressed it. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, feel free to put it across in the Q&A forum, please. Just for everyone's knowledge, the question that was asked was from Parthiv. So I'm just taking that question for just to give you a perspective of an interesting point that was debated in the Q&A chat. Since data mesh follows data as a product approach, each domain owns and manages its own data pipelines. While this increases ownership and scalability, it can also result in duplicated pipelines, inconsistent implementations, and higher maintenance effort across domains. How can effective governance and standardization mitigate these challenges? Very good question. This is one of the most common criticisms of data mesh. A poorly implemented data mesh can actually simply replace one centralized framework or bottleneck with dozens of decentralized silos. See, one thing you need to data mesh decentralizes the ownership, but not the standards. So you're only decentralizing ownership, business definition, product lifecycle, and accountability. But what remains standardized is still the security policies that you have implemented, data quality rules, data product templates. This is still standardized. Okay. So please keep this in mind while implementing it, because data mesh, if you don't do it right, it might result in more trouble for you. Okay, good. Any other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, I think we have come to the end of the webinar. Thank you for spending the last hour with us. Before I hand it over to Rajita, let me share a bit of a thank you note from my side. I hope today's discussion gave you a useful perspective on where enterprise data architecture is heading. If there is one message that I can leave you out with, it is this: AI is definitely changing how enterprises are operating. But before AI transforms the enterprise, the data architecture must transform first. Whatever we discussed in the last 1 hour, data mesh, data fabric, they're not actually simply architectural patterns. I would say they are the foundational building blocks of the AI ready enterprise. Thank you very much for patiently listening to me, and we look forward to continuing this conversation offline. Thank you. Over to you, Rajita.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you, Ramkumar. So, with that, we come to the end of today's insightful session. Again, thank you so much, Lakshmi and Ram, for the valuable insights and knowledge sharing. And a big thank you to all our participants for joining us today and making this webinar a success. So we truly appreciate your time and engagement, and we look forward to hosting you again in our future sessions. So thank you, all of you. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachita. Thank you,
Thank
Lakshmi.
you.